Yeah.
Is that what you
I think I
said?
put that in the video. Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, obviously, that's what he's done domestically. So I
Okay.
don't know. I mean, it's not a. The video is very funny. I hope people check it out. But yeah, it's a. There's a serious undertone to it, and I know it's a little bit past in the news. It's a couple weeks old, but it's still one of those things you just have to shake your head and say, what were you thinking, Mr. President?
You know, and again, we're talking about stuff you put on YouTube, and we're going to pimp that at the end, but just in case, you know, because we all like to talk, particularly Hausman and I, they just go to, how do they best find your YouTube channel? Because again, I don't throw hyperbole around a lot, but it's awesome.
Yeah, no, well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's if you go to YouTube and you type in Dan Joseph, my channel will be the first thing to come up. The official Google, you do Dan Joseph 78, it comes up. My Twitter comes up everywhere. It's hard to avoid. If you go to Facebook,
You sound like Hausman.
yeah, if you go to Facebook and you put in Dan Joseph 78, my Facebook page actually pops up there. And if you like that, you'll not only get my videos first, not only from MRCTV, but also from my personal videos, but you also get my blogs that I put out on mrctv.org, which is sort of a brand new blog that MRC is putting out there, and we're trying to get it started up right now. You know, it's interesting you mentioned the videos. Today we actually did one. Right before I started talking to you guys, I got back from a shoot. And it wasn't a political shoot either. It was, we were asking a college campus, we were asking students if they knew who Paul McCartney was and who Mick Jagger was. And we got some hilarious answers, and, you know, I'm about to start editing it as soon as I get off the phone with you guys, but it's going to be, I'm hopeful that it's going to be a very funny video, and I think even though it's not politics, I think a lot of people will like it and be unpleasantly surprised at how many young people have no idea who these super famous rock stars are.
And listen, you guys being listeners, and you know, you got to share the link from Spreaker or from our blog site later to this show, because people, I have seen, Dan, I've not seen every one of your videos, but I've followed them for a long time. You know, I and others at IJR have put a lot of them up over the last couple of years, and they do very well. And
yeah, we love you guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, so here's the deal, dude. We were talking about some pretty important stuff here, but there's something even more important that I do want to talk to you about. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we talked about this a little bit last time. Now, let me preface this with Hausman and I sing a little bit on the show. We don't sing a lot, but we sing a little bit. But you, well, listen, guys, I just let's just play a short. This is 2 minutes plus. This is a Dan Joseph original, and I think if you think like I do about certain people, you will definitely find it both entertaining and yes. Okay, so Jessica, let's play that YouTube.
Oh, hi everybody, Dan Joseph here. Now, I don't know how to play this thing at all, but we're going to have a good time anyway today. Isn't that right, Melvin?
Feed me, you idiot.
That's right. Let's do it. Lena Dunham had a show, E-I-E-I-O. It was on prime time on HBO, E-I-E-I-O. The show was called Girls. It became a big hit. She was naked all the time, but she looked like bad. Now one day Lena told herself, I think I'm pretty smart. I'm gonna get young women to vote with their lady parts. So she made a video for Obama that said that voting for him would be like their first time in bed.
My first time voting was amazing. I went to the polling station, I pulled back the curtain, I voted for Barack Obama.
Of course, for most of us, I think a prison rape analogy would have been more appropriate, but what do I know? Lena said she wouldn't date a Republican. She compared them all to Nazis and she will not be their friends. Said the GOP wants to take her birth control pills. She looks a little bit like Jonah Hill. Lena Dunham did an ad for a group called Rock the Vote. She took her personal trainer in the booth with her, who she clearly did not know. She danced around in her underwear. That explains the low turnout this year. Lena Dunham wrote a book with some really bizarre sex. Apparently all of us on the right took it way out of context. You No, Lena, it takes a lot of nerve to blame us for the fact that you're a dirty perv. They tell me Lena Dunham is a feminist icon, but why can't you get your point across while keeping your clothing on? That doesn't really fit the feminist mold. Maybe you'd be better off with a stage and a pole. Ooh. Lena Dunham has a show, and that's where she should say, Lena Dunham, please put your goddamn clothes back on and stop talking forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, that was like sort of a spur of the moment idea because I do despise Lena Dunham with the intensity of 1,000 suns. So, but for some reason, yeah, you people can do it in their home. If you have a song idea and you have a camera, you can get the karaoke version of Old MacDonald or whatever and make fun of somebody who you hate. And it's very cathartic because you really can't tell them to their face.
See, and here's the deal, you guys. You got to go actually to the site. I mean, as fun as that was to listen to, you have to go to the YouTube site and you got to see it because it's even funnier looking at it. So, and you know what? I tried to find the one you did a takeoff on. It's all about that bass. I could not find.
Yeah, you guys actually. That's right. You guys played that last time, I think, and that was a much harder one to do because obviously that song's sung by a woman named Meghan Trainor, so I couldn't exactly get her vocals, in the right range. But yeah, I mean that was a response to the Black Lives Matter and Al Sharpton and all the race hustling and race baiting that's been going on for the last 30 years. So yeah, they should check it out. If you Google all about that race, it should come up. It's also on. But yeah, just click on videos on the YouTube page, and it's one of the more recent ones. But yeah, that was a fun one too. I really enjoyed doing the songs. I wish I could think of a new idea and do a new song every week. But again, it's hard to come up with those things. I mean, Weird Al is such a genius. I don't know how he does it, but it's a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys like them.
Oh, loved it. One more quick question, because I'm dominating here, Michael. You got to come in. But so I have a musical background. Okay, you played instruments and used to be in bands in college and stuff. Do you have any music in your background, or did you just decide to do this stuff later on?
Actually, I do. I was in musical theater from the time I was about 12 years old until the time I graduated. No, after that, until 2004 was my last musical. So I never played any instruments. I was never a very good dancer, which really kept me from doing it professionally. But yeah, I sang. I did a lot of big lead roles. The last lead role I did was 2004 was Danny Zuko in Grease. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I have a musical background, and but I miss it. I miss it a lot. You work in politics, and I get to do a certain kind of performing on the vlog, and you get to do a certain kind of performing when you're out talking to people on the street and making fun of them. But it's not the same as being on stage because you don't get that immediate reaction from people. So I miss it. At the same time, at a certain point when I was out in Los Angeles pursuing acting, I realized that being a waiter until you're 50 years old is really not a very good career choice. So I loved politics. I went back to journalism school, and then I wrote a book, and that's sort of how MRC discovered me, and I ended up here. So it's very, I mean, I'm very proud of my entertainment and musical background, and I like to think that it has helped me in terms of making the vlog entertaining and making it funny and bringing a little bit of humor to politics, which not enough conservatives do these days. And that's why I'm hoping that it helps, it takes off and people can really see how it's done. And it's not just Jon Stewart who can do it. Thank you.
Well, absolutely. For me, if there isn't some element of funny or humor in it, it becomes like reading a Heritage Foundation white paper.
And nobody wants that. Nobody outside the Beltway wants to read.
It's not enough to maintain my interest.
Yeah, sure. And that's the goal, and that's what a lot of people haven't figured out. Also, the blogging and video blogging is becoming extremely popular, especially on the left. I mean, you got these three people. Uzi Glozell, I don't know if you heard about her. She's the one who throws up. Like that's her shtick. She goes on YouTube, she eats a bunch of really horrible food, and then she throws up for 3 minutes. Or she took a bath with Fruit Loops. And for some reason, she got an interview with the president, and I didn't. So I'm sure there was something going on there. But I mean, it probably worked. It probably got him a lot of attention that he wouldn't have otherwise had on social networks. But at the same time, it's a little bit insulting to the rest of the media people who know what they're talking about, know what they're doing. The president sit down with, this woman who's kind of just a freak. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking of taking a picture. I mean, you guys have seen this woman, right? Glozell.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm actually
okay.
in a bath right now with flax cereal and almond milk. So
well, that's very healthy. That's good. You care about, bran is excellent. Almond milk, I assume you're lactose intolerant or something, but that's a much healthier thing. But what I was thinking of doing was going out to the White House with a picture of Glozell in her bathtub full of cereal and asking people, hey, if you were in the Secret Service, would you allow this woman anywhere near the President of the United States, and see what they said. My first reaction, I think, would be that they would not be very, very thrilled about having her near the President of the United States. I think that's,
right.
That's what I would.
I can't even imagine. I can't imagine them answering even that question. Dan, we've just got a couple of minutes here, but a question that comes to mind when I watch your videos, and I put one up on IGR a day or two ago. This guy in San Diego County, Mark Dice, asking questions out on the pier, similar in the vein that you do. Also, Jesse Waters does the same kind of thing, as does Fallon and those guys ask different types of man on the street questions. This is my question about your editing process. I always wonder with some of these and the answers that you put together on the video, is it a case that you're out there for like 5 hours and you find 4 good clips and put it up? Or is it you go out and ask the question, the first 5 people gives 20 minutes later, you box up the camera and you have all the footage you need? What goes on behind the scenes?
That's a really good question. Here's what I will say about that. With Mark Dice gets, I think all his videos take place on the boardwalk in Los Angeles. Now, You're going to find idiots everywhere on the boardwalk in Los Angeles. For Jesse Waters, they send him out to do it at places where they know they're going to get, stoners, like he was at the X Games the other day in Colorado, or they send him to the beach in spring break with drunk girls in bikinis. That works very well because, yes, again, it's a lot easier to find idiots. Now, in Washington, D.C., because, MRC doesn't really have the funds to fly me out to those places all the time, in Washington, D.C., it's more difficult to find people. Because if you're coming to Washington, D.C. as a tourist in the first place, there's a good chance that you're interested in history or politics or both, and it's more difficult to find people who don't know the answers to questions. Even so, most of the time, within an hour, we get a good number of people who either give ridiculous answers to questions or answer the question the right way when we're asking about Obama, and not the right way, but the way that normal people in the country think. Like we went out and asked, are we in a war against Islamic terror? And everybody's like, yeah, well, that's a stupid question, Dan. I was like, okay, well, that's what I thought too, but the president apparently disagrees. So we got, it's harder, but we still manage to find people almost every time we go out. Like I said, we went to the college campus today. We asked people, do you know who Paul McCartney is? Do you know who Mick Jagger was? And the answers were hilarious. Some people did, and we include some of them in the videos, and we let them explain themselves. And then, but I mean, for the most part, it's not too difficult. But those other guys you mentioned, I think their jobs are a little bit easier than mine. So
see, here's the deal, and we're out of time, unfortunately. We'd love to have you on for an hour, but we describe you often, and they're not like you, and you're not like them, as the thinking man's Jesse Waters. So, Dan Joseph, thanks for joining us. Real quick, man, pimp one more time. Best way for them to follow you.
What's that? I didn't catch that last part.
I just said pimp yourself quickly one more time, and then we got to let you go.
Oh, yeah. Dan Joseph on YouTube. You'll find me Dan Joseph 78 on Facebook. If you like my page, I'd really appreciate it. And mrctv.org is the new blog where you're going to find a lot of my writing, too, a lot of funny stuff, and, of course, all the videos we do as well. So those 3 places, check them out. My Twitter, of course, Dan Joseph 78. You'll find it there, too. Go.
Dan, thanks a bunch, guys. And not only check them out, but share them with your friends. Man, thanks for being on. We'll see you again.
Hey, thanks, guys. Love coming on the show. I appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
You. Right, Mike Miller, Michael Hausen. We will be right back.
This is Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for January 28th. The Congressional